going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. It is time for the first episode of Serie A predictions. And the reason this one is especially exciting is because for me, Serie A was my most successful league last season in terms of correct scores predicted, and I think tips overall as well. But there was one week in Serie A, by the way, we had 5 out of 10 perfect scores. I think the league tends to be lower scoring, tends to be a lot closer, and essentially therefore easier to predict and easier to find some value and make some money. So if you're excited for the launch of Serie A this season on the Full 90, then be sure to drop a like. Thank you to the 500 new subscribers that have subscribed in the last week since we started. It's been awesome. And if you want a chance to win $100, then you just need to join the Patreon using the top link in the description, and you'll be entered into the draw along with everyone flashing up on the screen now. So currently, there's, I think, 55 people in the Patreon. So if you join, get signed up, you have, well, you know, maybe like a 2% chance at this time of winning. But hey, someone's got to win it. So if you want to shout out in every video, access to the exclusive members tips and everything like that, and a chance to win $100 back, then click that join link in the description. And now, as I said, it is time for Serie A Week 1 predictions. And we're kicking off with hardly a belter, I'm going to be honest. It's Genoa up against Lecce. And Lecce doing very well to survive last season. I do think they're going to fall short here against Genoa, 1-0. If you're new to my Serie A, La Liga and Bundesliga videos, they tend to be a bit shorter, quicker, just a way of me getting my score prediction and tip out there. Obviously, I make a lot of videos every single week, so rather than the Premier League and Champions League where it's a lot more in-depth, there's fancier graphics, this is just about getting you the information in as concise a way as possible. So if you enjoy these videos, like I said, drop a like and leave your predictions down in the comments below. After this, we have promoted Sassuolo up against Napoli. Sassuolo on the Patreon specifically were very, very fruitful for us from Serie B last year. They're a good team. I think they're a Serie A level team, and I actually think they're going to give Napoli a decent game here. I think we could see both teams score. Do I see an upset? I don't think so. I think it's a tough fixture. Napoli first up, but I think it's going to be close. I'm going to go 2-1 and say Napoli to win at 1.53. But I think if you stretch to Napoli to win and both teams to score, the odds would be absolutely massive. And I do think Sassuolo are pretty good for a goal. So Napoli to win 2-1. After this, it's AC Milan up against Cremonese, and I think AC Milan win this one quite comfortably. The odds here are pretty bad. They don't need to go mental. It doesn't need to be 5-0. I'm going to go for a 2-0. And I like the odds. AC Milan -1 handicap at odds of 1.95. They should get the job done at the San Siro here against a team that I think is going to struggle this year a little bit in Serie A. After this, we have probably, if I'm looking at the list here, one of the games of the week. I think personally, I would say this is probably the game of the week. I'm going to say it is Roma up against Bologna. Now, this is going to be either, okay, it'll be either 2-1 either way or 0-0. That's just the way I see it happening anyway. But I am going to err on the side of the home team and goals and say 2-1. And I like the odds of both teams to score at 1.9. But if there was going to be a shock double donuts this week, I could see Roma and Bologna first week rust kind of coming to the fore, a bit like with Aston Villa and Newcastle in the Premier League, a game that's typically very high scoring. Teams like to go on the front foot and attack, but just getting caught a little bit lacking in that first week. I could see that happening here with Roma and Bologna as a 0-0, but in the interest of being exciting, I'll say 2-1, but low-key, I almost want to put 0-0 as a caveat on my screen here, just to say that I kind of called it if it happens, but 2-1. After this, we have Cagliari up against Fiorentina. Fiorentina's slight favourites. Cagliari difficult to beat at home when you're there or thereabouts. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, but I could see a 2-1. Honestly, either way. So we're going for my highest odds tip of the video here in both teams to score and under 3.5 goals at odds of 3. So that's 1-1 or 2-1 either way. Can't separate them two, so I will land down in the middle at 1-1. After this, we have Como up against Lazio. Como, the odds-on favourite to win this game. I don't see it. I'm going to go against the grain. I know Lazio sometimes are a bit of a struggle team when it comes to away from home, but I'm going to go for a 2-1. And the tip, because Como are favourites, I'm going to go for the double chance market. Lazio double chance and both teams to score. The odds are 2.5. I could see this being a score draw. I wouldn't be shocked if Lazio lost, but I just think, given that Lazio are the underdog in this fixture, I'm going to try and snag a bit of extra value and go for them. Because I think it's about 2.3 for Como, 3 for Lazio. I'd put it around about more like 2.7 each. So I think there's a little bit of value to be had on the away team there. First game of the season. After this, we travel to Bergamo for Atalanta up against Pisa, another promoted side. I think this one is going to be a step too far. I mean, it's tough games for the newly promoted sides, by the way. Napoli, AC Milan, and Atalanta. I mean, that's a really difficult opening game week for the Serie B sides of yesteryear. I'm going to go for a 3-0 win to Atalanta. And the tip is Atalanta -1 at 2.05. That's probably my value tip of the week. Because if you look, I predicted AC Milan to win 2-0 here and tipped them -1 at 1.95. I'm going for an extra goal for Atalanta, but the -1 handicap is higher odds by 0.1. So I think whether that's AC Milan -1 isn't good value, I think it points more to Atalanta -1 being very good value. So that's, if I had to have a segment of tip of the week, I think Atalanta -1 handicap against Pisa at home here. Tip of the week and above evens, 2.05. I like that a lot. After this, Juventus up against Parma. We've seen a lot of games with Parma seeing both teams to score. That was usually a pretty safe shout last season, but I think first game of the season again, it's going to be a little bit different here, and Juventus are just going to get the job done 2-0. My tip, it allows for a 2-1 as well, but my tip is going to be Juventus to win and under 3.5 goals. That takes the odds up to 2.1 from 1.45, which is a massive increase. I don't think it'll be 3-1 or 4-0, so I'm just going to say 2-0. After this, Udinese up against Verona. Low scoring game. I can see it here. Genoa, I tipped to beat Lecce 1-0 under 2.5 goals. I'm doing the same here. Udinese to win 1-0. The tip is under 2.5 goals at 1.66. And the final game at the San Siro, it's Inter Milan up against Torino. Torino, they have their good weeks. They have their off days. I think Inter Milan are going to be too strong for them. I'm going to go 3-0. And again, maybe this just makes AC Milan -1 less than evens with a 2-0 score prediction even worse. But I've gone 3-0 here. Inter Milan -1 handicap at 2.2. I think if you do Inter Milan and Atalanta -1 handicap double, you get odds of above 4. And I think it's really quite likely. I mean, maybe this just ends 2-0. And Atalanta, it's 3-1, but I don't see how Inter and Atalanta don't win by at least 2 goals this week. I've gone for 3-0 in both games, -1 handicap in both games. So those are my score predictions. I see resounding victories for Atalanta and Inter Milan, and of course AC Milan, the home side, 2-0 as well. I've got 3 -1 handicaps there. You could get odds of about 7-1 if you back all 3 of them to win by 2 goals, and obviously 2 of them are against newly promoted sides at home. So I just think it's a really good pick. I like the fixtures this game week. Serie A is always the most intriguing. So if you do enjoy these videos, please do drop a like, leave your predictions down in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video very soon.